are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sirlana.
Minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Sirlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations. I am Spaceboy.
And I am Sirlana.
And this is Spaceboy Universe. It is the 1st of July. I had to do a quick take of that. Usually it's the mix-up with Sirlana.
Do you know where you are?
Yeah, I know where I'm at. I'm on the universe with Spaceboy and Sirlana. And it is show number 140, Sirlana. And tonight's guest is David
Brunet.
Hey, how about that?
Who is
Canadian. Happy birthday, Canada. As always, follow us on the universe on Twitter. That's at the SB Universe. Follow the host, that's Sirlana, at Sirlana. Me, Spaceboy, at Spaceboy Music. And, of course, follow the network, at the SBU Network. Remember to hashtag your tweets tonight with hashtag Spaceboy SBU. Well, let me do that over. Hashtag SB Universe, hashtag Space Cadets, and hashtag SBU Network. Any of all those three, but mostly the Space Cadets and the SBU Universe is always good. Want to hang out with those Space Cadets? You can do so by going to spaceboyuniverse.com, click on the player, and that'll get you in with all the cool kids. In addition to Twitter, you can find the universe on Facebook, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, and many more places. Speaking of YouTube, you know, Sirlana, you can find more than the SBU archive of shows. There is video content from SB Music, SBU video interviews, 2-Bit Gamers, which incidentally, I just uploaded a new 2-Bit Gamers. You should go check it out on our YouTube channel, and so much more. And while you're there checking out that new video, you should subscribe to the universe. Can't catch a show live? No problemo. Take the SBU on the go with you via Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, because we love to digitally broadcast, which is also podcasting in a way, I guess. And with that magical note, with all that said, how are you, Sirlana?
Jazzed, because it is the 150th anniversary of Canadian independence, where they became free, or rather, Great Britain recognized them as a separate country. They're no longer a colony.
Right.
So
yeah,
we know how that feels.
So they celebrate it on July 1st.
And we'll be celebrating on Tuesday. And
I guess it goes back to 1867. But, you know, they've been around a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's, I guess, when the first official kickoff was in 1867. And that's when they celebrate their birth of their nation. And, you know, as always, here at the Universe, we love Canada, don't we?
Yes, but I also still have a fondness for Great Britain.
Well,
I don't hold a grudge.
Well, no, but you know,
I wasn't born. So.
They're our neighbors, and they're great neighbors. They're
pretty quiet. They don't stay up too late with loud music.
Very polite.
Yeah,
and even when they're angry, they're still so polite. Mm-hmm. So, and we've seen many of car crash videos, and they're even polite in those as well, aren't they?
Well, I don't think that was polite, but just if you compare that to everything else, it seems tame.
It's like, hey, you hit my Zimboni. Anyway, so we're going to...
I can barely see you. I just see your eyes.
I thought maybe you heard me. I made a joke there. But I know if you don't laugh, it's not funny. So we're moving on. So, yeah, happy birthday, Canada. Here's one to you from from your neighbors south of your border, USA. And, of course, here, like I said, at the
We're closer to the other border.
We love you, Canada. Hey, I'm going to throw a news story out there. I was just looking over this news article on Canada.com, news/whatever, and a BC woman regains her Canadian citizenship stripped by an arcane law. Have you heard about this one?
So she's from British Columbia?
Yeah, well, interesting story is that as I stumbled to open the Dane article so I could tell everybody about it. Anyway, so... there we go. Bertie Funk marked Canada Day by taking citizenship oath. But unlike 150 people around her, she was raised right there in British Columbia. Mm-hmm. Now, although she was raised there, and she's always been a part of Canada, she was actually born in Mexico. And so I think there was some kind of law that says that people that were born overseas between 1977 and 1981 to parents who were also born abroad to apply to maintain their citizenship by the age of 28, and she had missed that deadline. So she was not it's not like they were going to kick her out of Canada, but she wouldn't be able to vote. And
wow.
It was kind of a weird situation. But congratulations to Bertie. She got her citizenship again to the country she's been there the whole time, and so a little Canadian story out of left field there, and
excuse me.
And so it's all good. Do you have a Canadian story or anything like that as you're sipping down some Gatorade over there?
Wow.
No.
Do I have? No.
Can you name me?
Excuse me.
Can you name me two Canadian personalities from Canada?
Michael J. Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Bieber, because he's
Yeah, well,
I do say that because I'm glad that he belongs to them. And
but he stays here mostly, I guess.
All the judges.
Shatner?
No, not all the judges. Shatner, Howie Mandel, I believe, is Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking it's odd that all the judges on America's Got Talent, none of them are American.
They're all Canadian.
Yeah, no, they're either English or German or Canadian. So what makes them qualified to judge Americans if they're not American?
Well, the funny thing about Canadians is, you don't think twice about them being Canadians. It's like one big happy family.
Some of them are stealth Canadians.
Well, there is the Justin Bieber thing that I wish he would go away. But for the most part, when I don't think of them as Canadians. Mm-hmm. I think of them just group of people that a family that they're like our cousins, and we stop by and see them sometimes, kind of thing, so. But yeah, we love Canadians here at the old universe, and
we may even talk to one in a few minutes.
Yeah, we love you to death. So there you go. Happy Canadian birthday today, July 1st, and there you go. So, Solana, what you got over there?
Happy birthday to my dad. His birthday was yesterday, and it would have also been my mother's birthday as well. So they were born the same year, same day, one in Mississippi and one in Louisiana. So one of those freaky numbers things, like you and I have a freaky number thing. Our birthdays, you were born on the 18th of a month, and I was born on the 18th of a month. Just one of them freaky things,
And your Social Security number is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I do know it.
Anything else you got going over there?
Oh, well, let's see. Well, I've got, I'm going out of order with this. Let's gaming topic. Yet again, a phenomenal, ridiculous Steam sale is happening on Steam-powered, Steam Valve. Games are like 50 cents and $15. When the latest Doom came out, it was $60. And then you wait around for about 4 months, and it went down to $30, and now it's down to like $14.99. So that's how crazy some of the things on my wish list are $5, $2, 75 cents. So if you like PC gaming, get over there to Steam, and I think you need to find it under Steam Powered. It's by Valve Corporation. You know, you just put in Steam PC gaming, you'll find it. But yeah, so. And the other thing I'm sure you'll have an opinion about is Nintendo.
Well, before you jump, okay, go ahead. Yeah, Nintendo.
They're going to launch the Super NES Classic with 21 pre-installed games.
Guess what?
What?
I ain't getting it.
I figured you're upset about it.
I am upset about it because they've talked about, okay, we're gonna sell a few more of these than we did of the NES, and
why
we're
are they
gonna
being such? You know what's about it? I mean,
the thing is that I wanted an NES Classic. I mean, and I could easily get things like the ROMs and stuff like that and build my own system. But
like you got time for that.
But yeah, it's like I wanted one of the NES. I thought they were cool looking, and then all of a sudden they sold out, and then jacked the price up, scalpers, and there's just no way I'm going to pay an exorbitant amount. And as far as this system, the Super NES Classic, it has some good games on it. Super Mario World's on it. There's Contra. There's Castlevania 3. But it just doesn't have quite there could have been a few more. I know that like Turtles in Time, they don't have that. But that could be probably because of the licensing with Konami on that particular thing. And then, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But that was like a heavy classic for that system. Mm-hmm. And plus, they've got Link to the Past on there, and I personally didn't quite like that game as much as I like the original
I
Zelda.
feel bad I can't contribute because I never had anything but that one system growing up. So
trust me, dear. The system was a good system. I mean, another cool thing about it is they have Star Fox on it, and they have the unreleased Star Fox 2 that is on it. But in order to play Star Fox 2, you have to beat Star Fox, the original game. What did I miss?
You sound like an old 12-year-old. I just was laughing at what you sound like. Well, in order to do this, and you didn't. It's just like, gosh, you're such a nerd.
Yeah, I know. I can't help it. But I think the bottom line here is that I'm saying no, Nintendo. You burnt me with the NES, so sell your machine elsewhere.
Peddle your wares elsewhere.
Yeah, because I ain't buying it, and that's how I felt about that. Let's see here, and I guess as we're talking about games and Steam and earlier, I just posted a new 2-Bit Gamers episode.
Yes, you did.
Onto our YouTube channel.
And I liked it a lot.
It's called Riff Racer, and what's cool about this is you get to drive this car on a ramp and everything. And you were mentioning how it's similar to another game that we've played before. What was that, Solana? I
think it was called Audio Surfer.
Yes, Audio Surfer.
Go to YouTube and you just type in Audio Surfer and you see people playing it.
But the thing is, with just like that game, Riff Racer also uses the thing where you can put your own music into the game. So if you've got an MP3, it allows you to search your computer for audio files and play. So if like for example, I'm a big Pet Shop Boys fan, and there's a lot of really cool Pet Shop Boys remixes that you can play into this game. But
so you can stick any music into the game?
In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because
you think we rehearsed it.
What I did, Solana, was I took one of my tracks from my latest album, Unique Technique, called Crash, and I felt it was appropriate for the game. So, and what I like, I didn't really like, but here I'll tell you anyway. When it imports the song into the game, it analyzes it, and depending on, I guess, whatever variables, it can make it real easy, or it can make it extremely hard.
Depending on how kind of complex your song is, I imagine how fast the beats per minute are.
So I imagine that because the song Crash is pretty upbeat and and kind of in your face. It made it somewhat difficult. They gave it 4 out of 5 star difficulties. And so if you get a chance, just go ahead and check out 2-Bit Gamers. It's on the site there, and of course we were beta testing.
And that is only $2.74 for that game right now.
Right.
Not much longer, I'm sure.
And
but
that was a steal because
that's literally
to be able to play a game like that and then be able to import your own music. I don't know how it would play if you were like importing like Rhinestone Cowboy or something like that. But hey,
well, that could definitely be done.
Everybody loves to drive with tunes, so there. Go check it out on the old YouTube site, Space Boy Universe. So I'm excited. I enjoyed it. In fact, I played a lot of it today, and it was good stuff. So what you got over there? Back to you.
Oh, back to me.
Back to you, Sir Lana.
You told me today about Wonder Woman.
What did I tell you about Wonder Woman?
It's now the highest grossing.
Oh, indeed, it is. It is the highest grossing DC movie of all the franchises.
Well, it's not like they have that many.
Well, that's true, but still.
Even the original Superman movies?
You mean the Man of
not the Christopher Reeve ones?
I don't know if they were comparing it to the Christopher Reeve ones.
It's not really DC owned, claimed.
Well, I mean,
Superman.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the new universe, actually, I think it was DC universe, extended universe is what it is. So it beat out Superman. It beat out the Man of Steel movies. I think it beat out Superman versus Batman.
Well, that's not really hard to do. I didn't have a problem with that movie because I didn't really have a stake in it.
Well, I think as people who have seen the backstories for the characters, enough already. We've already seen it. Kind of like what they're doing with Spider-Man, which is Marvel, where they're eliminating the backstory for Spider-Man. He gets bit, his uncle dies, yada, yada, yada. They kind of just, okay, we already know this. Let's get to the good, juicy parts. And I kind of glanced over something that maybe his uncle had a different fate in this new universe that Marvel has. But getting back to Wonder Woman, congratulations. It's about dang time that they put it out there because we all knew that it would be a great movie. It just, Hollywood sat on their laurels and didn't pony up and try to create a fantastic movie such as Wonder Woman. And at some point we'll go see it. But, I'm all for it. Indeed. Okay. We're going to be having a guest on in, I guess, a couple of weeks or a week or so.
Oh, yes.
The one I'm bringing up is J3 Films. I've been trying to reach out to John there, and I believe he's going to be on the 15th. And what's interesting about J3 Films is they're the organization that put out Extraordinary. About Stan Romanek.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we're going to be having him come on the show on the 15th, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him, one, about his movie production and his company in general, but to actually get the chance to pick his brain on his, I guess, his
that whole
documentary about Stan Romanek. Which the movie or the documentary is on Netflix, I believe the 3rd is coming out.
Yeah, it's already on Amazon to buy, right?
We bought it. I knew I was going to buy it as soon as it came out, but so I got a digital copy of it. But the fact that it's going to be on Netflix, I'll probably watch it again and be spooked out. I tell you, those clips on that documentary just freaks me out, like the one that looks through the window. Well, that one, the peeping alien is kind of interesting, but I think they call it the grandpa one, where it's looking through the sliding door, and then it kind of disappears, and then there's this big flash of light, and Stan hits the floor, and he doesn't remember anything. But I don't want to get too far into this one because there's a lot of talk about it then, and we'll talk about it then because I can just go 10 ways to Sunday on this topic. So other than that, Rick and Morty's finally coming out.
Yeah, they finally have a release date, the last day of this month.
So that's probably what I was thinking about earlier when we were doing our schedule was Rick and Morty season 3. I don't want to say it officially begins, but because they kind of gave you, if you want to believe, April 1st was the first episode. And then, so.
Yeah, but people were so skeptical because they released it on April 1st, so they didn't know, is this for real or is this just something to mess with our minds? Because that's something they would do.
Is this just real or is it fantasy? But what can you tell the audience about the trailer that we saw?
It was strange. It was
Dark.
strange, but the first thing I noticed when I finished watching it myself, because I know co-creator Dan Harmon created Community that we enjoyed so much on NBC as a sitcom. You know, Rick keeps going on. He went on in the very last episode, the opening they showed on April 1st. Rick kept saying, "Oh, this is going to be dark. It's going to be the darkest season of our lives." And I'm thinking they stole that. He took that directly from Community. He's like, this is going to be the darkest timeline. Because, you know, Abed's like, well, in case of darkest timeline, we'll put on our little felt goatees to indicate that we are like the mirror version of ourselves.
Right.
You know, Rick's like, oh, it's going to get dark. And then in these clips, he does mention that. Goes, wow, that's dark, you know. So it's going to be messed up and dark. Well,
we're definitely looking forward to that. So that's going to be great because it's been ages since our not including the April 1st episode, but beyond that, the last time we saw Rick and Morty, and it's going to be fantastic. It's one of those things that there's satire. There's, Hammond in general, I guess, comes across dark in Rick and Morty with some of the things, like Mr. Jellybean. That was pretty dark.
That was.
But anyway,
upsetting.
if you're into adult animation, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about just funny.
Adult Swim on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, Adult Swim on Cartoon Network, and go check that out. So back to you, Solana.
Did you hear about this? A defibrillator drone could save your life.
I have not heard about that.
There's this place in Sweden that's testing out. It's a drone, but it will deliver a defibrillator to whoever's suffering a cardiac arrest. I can't get my mouth to work.
Tongue-tied?
They're shown in trials that these drones can get to a destination 4 times faster than an ambulance because, they don't have to deal with traffic and stopping, starting, and being careful. So they just fly, go, drop. Now, that's supposing there's someone with you that can get it, knows how to use it, and,
Well, the thing with these
it's difficult.
Defibrillators is that...
heart jump starters, let's call it that.
As you pull the pads out, you I guess pull the adhesive where it straps to the skin. And, the instructions are all on there. And, in fact, I think it even tells you out loud what to do first and second and third. And I think strap those things on and then clear, and then it'll do its thing. Because when I worked at a previous job, they had them, and they kind of showed us how they worked and everything.
Oh, at my work, there's things on the wall. That's what they are, is defibrillators, but no one ever has bothered to sit us down and make us do a demo.
They're really shake and bake and can save a person if they have a heart attack, and because when you put the pads on, it knows if it senses if your heart is beating or not, and then it goes through a whole system. It's very smart technology and very cool. So but I'm not surprised with the drones.
That's a good use of drones. Now, slightly more okay. I don't know if it's questionable. Use of drones is Facebook is going to be using drones to deploy internet access to places that can't get it before.
Now, I've heard something to that effect. Good, bad, what do you feel?
Sounds like a nice deal, but I don't trust them.
True.
And then they're going to launch something else called, launch a feature for Facebook, .com, a find Wi-Fi feature. They're going to release that globally. It'll help you find the closest Wi-Fi connections when your data on your phone is weak.
Well, they kind of, our iPhones already kind of do that. It notifies us when we're in range of a
If
Wi-Fi.
you have that feature turned on, I turned it off because I didn't want to be nagged all the time.
True.
It's like, look what I found. Look what I found.
Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. So, yeah, and then, of course, you've got Amazon, who is so ready to start delivering things with drones. They are. We've already.
I heard a lot about it, and then they went quiet about that, and I haven't heard another thing about it.
Yeah,
the drone things with Amazon.
I mean, it's already good in the sense of, what is it called? Amazon Now or Prime Now?
Prime Now.
Yeah, Prime Now. In fact, the other day, I was having problems with one of our computers, my personal computer, and I needed a hard drive. And so I went on. I said, I need this hard drive, and they delivered it within an hour.
Yeah, that was pretty dang cool.
That was pretty dang cool. It's like, and so got my data transferred to the new hard drive, and I am doing good now. I was worried there because it's where I do all my music production.
My computer, which does a lot of production for this show, which includes the web, all the graphics, social media posting, is highly unstable.
Kicking in chairs and knocking down tables.
And it forced me to get another one, and I had to do it a certain way in order to be able to get something else. So I went from the laptop to a mini tower, what you call it. It's a desktop, but it's heavy.
Well, we both talked about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
your laptop. I asked you. I said, do you really think your next computer is you're gonna need to move it around or take it with you?
No, not really. No.
And you pretty much you could see that it sat on your desk.
Never moved it.
Yeah, because it had the outline of dust around it when you picked it up.
So and it had some other minor issues that, while it didn't bother me, it's not. Other people would be like, "How are you putting up with this?" So I was forced to get another one, and the one I got it out of the box and just set it on top of my desk, and that's all I've done. But it says on the side, it's VR ready. I was like, wow, I didn't even see that when I was picking it out. So
I don't know what to think about that, but I'd like to read more about it.
Well, you have to get, because Steam sells a VR set.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get it from them, I think you can plug it into. And how many flipping HDMI ports do I have?
Well, I believe you have at least 3 that I saw.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
So before we go to break, Sorlana, I wanted to just bring up this is also the 70th anniversary of the Roswell UFO incident.
Or close to it.
Or close to it. Well, we were talking off air before the show started that the paper, the Roswell Daily Record, put out there on July 8th that they were announcing the capture of a flying saucer. But that's not to say that, days before is when the thing went down. In fact, I think I was reading somewhere that it was late June, in fact.
I read somewhere in the first week of July. I'm getting different reports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so July 8th, 9th was the paper, and I'm just trying to think of when Mac Brazel, I believe, is who noticed the debris out there. But what happened was there was a really bad storm, and then Mac went out on his ranch after the storm, I guess to check out his property or whatever, and then he saw all this debris, and then that's when he notified the 509th operations group out there to come take a look at it, and then they realized, hey, wait a minute, this is more than what is going on here. It's actually looks like a UFO from another planet. So 70 years. One of the major, I guess, every ufologist kind of dives into this particular topic for this particular one because it's so documented. It is so ingrained into popular culture. In fact, the city of Roswell, New Mexico, is like a mecca now for people to go out and check it out. In fact, I think I'd heard that they were building a building out there for conferences and all sorts of things for the UFO community to go check out.
Mm-hmm.
Still with me over there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just looking at things.
Okay, I just hope you didn't like zone out like Forrest Gump
No,
watching
it's-
TV or something over there.
No.
I see. So with that magical note, Solana, we've reached the bottom of the hour, and you are listening to Space Boy Universe. I am Space Boy. She is Solana, and we'll be right back after. Well, hold on. Maybe not. Where is that?
Difficulties?
Yeah, it's a little difficult. There we go.
This is a test. This is a test. This is a test. Test, 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 test. This is a test to the SBU network. You are tuned into the SBU network. You are tuned into the SBU network. This is a test. This is a test. This is a test. Test, 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 test. This is a test to the SBU network.
Hey, we're back, and we are with David Brunet. And you know what? We don't really know that much about you, so that's a good reason to interview you. So
we do know that you're Canadian, and
happy Canada Day.
Yes, happy Canada Day.
You got free of the Brits as well, so congratulations.
Yeah, well, I'm a proud Canadian at that as well. So happy 150th anniversary to Canada.
What
very
parts?
proud. And what's that?
What part of where are you from in Canada?
I grew up just outside of Montreal in a little town called Cornwall. It's about an hour from Montreal, an hour from Ottawa, so I got to experience the best of both worlds, the Ontario and the Quebecois. So it's been a pleasure being Canadian, and I've been transplanted down here to Texas for the last 8 years, so which is a big culture change.
Yeah, I would imagine. It was a culture change for me, and I only came from Louisiana.
Yeah. So, and then the heat down here.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
unbearable at times.
Yeah. Hopefully Texas has been good to you.
Actually, it has. I've actually, I just think of some of the accomplishments that I've been working on down here, and especially with the work we're doing with Innovation Spark and the Maker Faire. And it's like sometimes I reflect, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. So it's as a Canadian, growing up in a small town, coming down here and living the American dream.
Sorry, that was my phone going off. Apologize. It was my rapping hip-hop chicken ringtone. Sorry. Apologize. So you managed to get down here into the Houston area, and how did you get involved with coordinating Maker Faire?
Well, about 6 years ago, we started our own small business, and we partnered. And we were attending these small business sessions and events for upcoming businesses, kind of to network and get some connections in the community. And we hooked up with Techno Chaos, who had just started at the same time as us. And so Mike, who was running Techno Chaos, and I said, we need a Maker Faire in Houston. And so, we brought the very first one back in 2013, which was a small one that was organized in a matter of about 6 to 8 weeks into the Stafford Center. And since then, we've grown over the last 5 years into a full-fledged Maker Faire. At that time, we were referred to as a mini Maker Faire. So
Right.
This year, we officially get to cross off the mini part, which for Texans is probably something that's a little bit insulting.
Yeah.
Because, everything's bigger in Texas, right?
It is.
So we're
we
official
call it mini
Maker
Texas.
Faire. Yes.
Yes. So we're very proud of that. It's been a lot of work, but we've had great support from throughout the community. HCC, Houston Community College, has signed up as one of our primary sponsors, or signature sponsors. So we're very proud of the relationship we built with them and other organizations within the greater Houston area.
And what kind of person would enjoy going to a Maker Faire?
It's a family-friendly event, so any families with kids that they want to experience the pleasure and joy of innovation, creation, making, crafting, is the proper person to be coming to the Maker Faire. And then just any men that are children or like to behave like children. It's a great event for them
Or
to
like
come and play
you,
as well.
you and my husband were talking before we came back. Y'all were nerding it up over ColecoVision.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We were just reminiscing. I heard earlier in the show you guys talking about some of the older game systems, and it brought back a memory of my childhood playing the ColecoVision. The one thing I have to say about it, though, I really loved the football game, and I was pretty good at it. But my aunt would beat my rear at that game so bad. So that's where my childhood memories come from. Is just losing, the football game to her every time.
It's so funny. Well, these Maker Fairs happen, are they worldwide or just nationwide?
No, they're worldwide. There's, I'd say there's probably more than 3,000 globally now. They're in every country in the world. Was at an event last year where we brought maker producers. Those are what we call ourselves, together. And we had someone from the Ukraine who had just put their very first Maker Faire on at the time, and that was rare. They had put it on in the time where they were going through a little bit of upheaval.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they happen all over the world, and they're great events for bringing people together to share ideas and knowledge and creativity and innovation.
So if you're near a major city, there's probably one going to happen or it's just happened. So we encourage you to go to one. You'll have a good time. And recently, in May, you graciously invited to sit with the Makerspace at Comic Palooza, which was a blast. And I do think that the Maker Faire section was the most fun part of Comic Palooza. Although I wasn't that deeply involved.
Not only was it the most fun, but it was also the free part of Comic Palooza.
Mm-hmm.
So Comic Palooza is a lot of artists and comic books and things like that. So there's a lot of retail at Comic Palooza. So when people walked into our section, I don't know how many people I heard saying, "Is this free?" And then you'd go, "So yeah," and they'd go, "Really?" and then it took a second for them to kind of grasp the concept of free for some of the stuff, the activities and that were put on through the Maker Faire area of Comic Palooza. But we're very proud of that work.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that, being where we were located, we heard a lot of positive vibes coming from people as well, impressed with that part of the convention. And so it was great in the sense of getting all these people coming by and saying, wow, this is really cool. I mean, and just the different things and the interactions to be involved, because a lot of the other Comic Palooza area, it wasn't as involved as as
there were things to do.
There were things
in
to
the Maker
do.
Space.
The VR. There was the 3D printing.
The doddles over there.
The doddles, that was really cool. And then of course when we were ramping people up with the giveaways, they were exciting. We were there was like wow, So it's been we've kind of experienced Maker Faire with you prior to that, but I would have to say that the Comic Palooza just took it to another level altogether with everybody at that, and like I said, we heard lots of positive vibes.
And I love that we got to meet more makers and interview them and get to know them better. So when we see them next time, they're going to know who we are.
Oh, like the ladies of the Maker Bus, Maker
U.
Yeah, Maker U.
Yeah.
We were so impressed with what they had done with that bus, and of course, a lot of these interviews
that video is on the Spaceboy Universe YouTube channel. There's a playlist for Comic Palooza.
So yeah, lots of great people there.
Yeah, and I give credit to the makers because many of them have been working with us for the last 5 years. So when we did the first Maker Faire, we had about 80 makers. Last year at our Maker Faire, we had over 220. And then the Comic Palooza. So us as Innovation Spark, our goals are to create these big events to bring all these communities together, to share ideas, to spawn innovation, to engage our young kids and children into making and creating and encouraging their imaginations to do stuff that when we were children was really hard to do or very near impossible to do. Nowadays with 3D printers and CNC machines and all that stuff that's available, it's incredible what you can make in a matter of hours.
Indeed, we are following a lot of people now, on social media that we just met, including that the group you had there from Doddles with the app to animate your own sketches and doodles and drawings, and they had a tweet today or yesterday that's saying that they're making some kind of innovation with autistic children. So I was like, wow, we actually got to meet these people, So.
Right. Well, and that's the beauty of the Maker Faire is one of our things that we're really focusing on going forward is all these people with these great ideas, is also helping them if they want to start up a company. So some of these folks they like to do things and it's a personal thing for them to do on their own. But then there's others that are creating something that they want to change the world with or whatever. And so we want to really spawn the startup community and trigger that innovation, and a lot of it, in the past has come out of California. Houston is not really known as kind of an innovation hub, I would say, in comparison to, the California areas. So what we're trying to do is trying to replicate that type of innovative knowledge and building that, base within the greater Houston area to, put us on a map in that regard.
And there's plenty of makers here. I mean, not just the ones who have, the official maker spaces, but just individuals who are creating and innovating here in the Houston area. And some in Texas as well, and that's where you can go to Maker Faire and meet these people and see what they're about, and as well as fun, quirky things like when we went last year to Maker Faire. It was our first one ever, anytime. I got to see, you had one of the art cars there with a singing fish attached to it, and that was just a blast. And just trying to think. We interviewed several people that were just absolutely fascinating.
There was the boombox suitcases that I found that very interesting, and father and daughter duo that is impressive. What the creation that was involved in creating that, and also on an artistic level of taking something and repurposing it. I love that.
That's fun. I like that.
It's always fun when you can watch somebody take something that may seem like it's let me just tie it back. American Pickers. I enjoy watching that show. They go in and they find things for the simple fact of maybe repurposing it for something different, and to actually be at a Maker Faire and see people do that same very thing is quite fun and exciting. So that is definitely interesting.
Yeah, and actually one of the things we're going to expand on this year is last year we had our cardboard creation area. This year we're going to expand it to the creativity area, and it's actually going to be centralized in the middle of all the maker spaces, and all the maker spaces are agreeing to actually support that area. So you're going to be able to go into that central area. They're going to do some educational sessions for people, so teaching you how to sew or how to cut foam with a foam cutter and things like that. And so one of the themes we're going to also have this year, since we're so close to Halloween, and also because of things we've done for Comicpalooza, is we're going to have a cosplay creation area.
Oh,
so we're going to have ideas, and we're going to have cosplayers come and showcase what they created, but also talk to people about how they created their cosplay costumes and stuff like that. So we'll be able to do jewelry making or make armor or anything you can imagine that you want to make as a cosplayer. You'll have the resources that are available to you to learn how to do it, and then that will hopefully spawn you to go to your local makerspace and complete your project. Because what we want to do is spawn and create, use the Maker Faire launchpad for people to create their cosplay costumes for the awards ceremony at Comicpalooza.
Yes, because Da Vinci Makerspace, they offered free cosplay repair during Comicpalooza, and they were right next to us.
And I heard that they were like in demand. I mean, just what was funny was I was going to say, Dave, was that we were doing an interview with a group of cosplayers, and they were saying, "Oh, I'm having a malfunction. I'm looking for this place that can help us."
We were just pointing. There it is, right there,
right over there.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was the creation we did with the this was our third year doing Comicpalooza, organizing the makerspace area, and so what we learned as we were hosting events, and that's why you probably saw that was much better this year, is we start getting our makers to cater to the event. So Comicpalooza, we tried to get them to theme it around it. So in previous years, the Make Cosplay Repair Station was just a pop-up thing with a few maker spaces. This year, we made it an official event place for the cosplayers to go to with a fully stocked repair station. So it was a really cool idea, and it was really a big hit. I mean, the cosplayers have really appreciated it, and so that will be something that will continue on as we move forward through Comicpalooza events in the future.
I talked to Chris Harris, when Sunday, when things were winding down for the exhibitors, to start packing up. He came over and talked to us, and I said, "So, did you get a lot of traffic with your, He says, "I was running between floors with needles and thread and repair kits." I said, "Bet you saw a lot of things." He's like, "Oh, yeah."
Oh, yeah. Those cosplayers are pretty creative people. I mean, you see some of the stuff that they put together. I'm always impressed at, like, some of the ones that make angels, or they make, there was an Iron Man replica guy. He made the full Iron Man outfit. I mean, they go all out. They really pay attention to detail and put a lot of effort into their work. So it's, and then there's the other smaller cosplayers who are just starting up, and that's where the cosplay creation station at Maker Faire will be helpful to those folks who are just learning how to build things leveraging the tools with the maker spaces that we're supporting the Maker Faire.
Well, I love the variety of Maker Faire. It kind of mirrors maybe the variety of Comic Palooza, the type of things you could see there. You had craft people there with traditional crafts like hand sewing, machine sewing, making your own soaps and nail polish. That was very cool. And there was a lady who was making traditional quilts, but they were like nerd quilts, like, Doctor Who themed, and that's very cool. And hopefully we'll see them all again coming up.
Yes, actually, yeah. Well, this year we're going to put an extra focus on the basic crafts. So we're trying to find makers, and so if you're listening and you're a maker and you're in the Houston area or want to come to the Maker Faire, our call to makers is open, and we're looking for people who are good workers, artists that draw, who want to share their ideas on how to draw, sewing and metalworking and glass blowing and all the basic crafts that people need skills in, because that's kind of the foundation to becoming a maker, is understanding those skills and then taking them and then creating your creations, because you can still create everything, but you still have to have some basic knowledge of those skills. So we want to really highlight those skills this year, because that's the first step to becoming a great maker.
Indeed. We can't wait for this Maker Faire, which is October 21st and 22nd. Is that correct?
That's correct, at the George R. Brown Center in downtown Houston.
And just briefly, what is a maker space and why are they important?
So a maker space is basically like a library, except the difference between them and the library is they have the equipment you would need to create anything you like. So at a maker space, they'll have your milling equipment, they'll have CNC machines, they'll have 3D printers, they'll have computers, workstations for you to learn how to do graphic design or CAD diagrams, electronics equipment, soldering equipment, jewelry making equipment. So they have all the tools that you need to create things at that space for you. And so the nice thing about the makerspace is you can pay for a membership. Okay. They also take walk-in people, so you can walk in and just pay for the day if you like. But a lot of them will work off a membership model where you pay, a small fee, $25 to $50 a month, and then you get access to the facility, and also they have classes, so you can take classes to learn specific skills, or they can teach you one-on-one through mentorship. So that it's the library for a maker.
That was very cool, and we learned about that. We learned about the one down in Clear Lake with the Houston Public Library. And I was like, if it wasn't so far, we'd be down there, checking that out.
Right. Well, and that's it's good that you mentioned that, because maker spaces are popping up in all types of places. So schools are starting to build maker spaces inside of them. The library system is now starting to build smaller scale maker spaces. So they have some constraints in terms of the type of equipment they can have. But, for example, that Clear Lake Library has actually a CNC machine inside the library, but it's enclosed in a soundproof box, so it's very silent. So you can still use it even though it's in a public library.
That's exciting to hear, because I'm kind of at a point with education where we need programs like this in our schools so that we can build with our young adults into technologies and help them think outside the box, if you will, David. And I think in past times we've really kind of shortchanged our young youth to not have those abilities to think outside the box. And, we got an opportunity to, talk with Jim Fox, who...
he's our buddy now, Jim Fox.
Yeah.
And he puzzleometry? Puzzometry, that's correct.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because we got a chance to go see the young adults that he was out there working with when they were building, the competition robots, and how they all come together, and even talking to them one-on-one. It's just fascinating how they're focused. They know what they want, and it blows my mind to see such young adults act so mature. Compared to a lot of adults that you probably might see on YouTube that are hurting himself from doing stupid things, but that's another story altogether.
But we need them too for our entertainment.
And to assure ourselves that Darwin's awards are going to the proper places, and it's great to see that. And in fact, with Jim, he has a young gentleman that usually comes with him when he does the puzzles, Cameron. He is just a fascinating individual and smart and intelligent, and would call you sir 10 ways to Sunday, and I love playing with him in the sense of harassing him. Don't call me sir. I'm
right.
I may be old enough to be your dad, but you don't have to call me sir.
And he keeps doing it.
And so, but I guess the long story short here is that it's awesome to see that this is in place in some of the schools, and it keeps growing, and it gives me hope for a lot of young adults to think out of the box, and instead of pulling out the iPhone and trying to figure it out, and that's important to me.
Right. Well, and I think we're coming through a major change in the way we get products and produce products. That it's building, right? So if you think of the first 100 years of the 1900s, they created manufacturing supply chains, and that was kind of the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
I think we're going through another type of revolution here where people can build things on their own. So it's going to be, you can come up with a great idea for, say, a couch, right? And you love the way it is. Well, now that couch, you can post that design online, possibly sell it, and people can buy your design and they can customize it, and they can 3D print it or manufacture it at a makerspace on their own without purchasing the actual like the hardware, like the wood or whatever. You can make it in material, but we're getting to this area where people can do that type of stuff very easily. The type of materials and tools that you need are very easy enough to use for the average person that they can go do that on their own going forward. So it's kind of like a Locator idea from Star Trek, but I think it's a step back from that, where you still have to put some manual labor into it.
Right. But I mean, the future is on track for Trek, but so that once again, as my inner kid is like, it's just cool. And just like with this 3D printing, I just saw a thing with Adam Savage on Tested, where he was at a place where they take the 3D printing, they put it into, onto some kind of container, and then they pour molten steel or brass into it, which melts the 3D printing, but then at the end result gives you a brass piece that's ready to be used. So he created a fidget out
spinner,
spinner, and I think that's great. I mean, years ago when I was a youngster, we didn't have that, and to be able to do something like that, and in very nominal price range, it's exciting to be able to do that.
Oh yeah, exactly, and those are the types of things that when you come to a Maker Faire, you're going to see how to do them. There will be makers demonstrating those skills, those capabilities. And that's one small example. There are thousands of different examples. I can't even describe what goes on there, because it's really an experience when you go to a Maker Faire, because you got so much diversity, so many different ideas, so many different people and cultures, and kind of coming together and creating stuff that I'm always they're always wowed, I guess is the proper word. Even though I'm helping organize the event, I'm still wowed by the stuff that people are doing.
Well, it's just like I was saying, my inner kid comes out when I'm at the Maker Faire, and just looking at all the different things. It brings a certain level of imagination back to me that I haven't seen in a long time.
Yep, absolutely. And just to put another plug in here. So one thing we're doing over the summer, so we're trying to kind of build interest in the Maker Faire, but we're also trying to introduce people to the Makerspace. So we're doing this thing this year called the Makerspace Crawl. So what this is an open house for people to come to the Makerspace. We'll have different events at different Makerspaces. So the first makerspace is Creator Space, and so they're doing something special around making food with their equipment.
Oh, wow.
So it's a gastronomy thing. I can't explain it very well, but it's going to be a lot of cool fun to check it out. That one happens on July 15th from 5 to 9 p.m. At the Creator Space. And so this Makerspace crawl, we want to turn this to an annual event so that we can get people introduced to Maker Fairs, also have some fun with it, and then also talk about how the regular person that makes stuff can come and participate in Maker Faire. Because the Maker Faire is a big show and tell for people, so anyone can be a maker and come and showcase what they created. So if you're a maker out there and you made something that's kind of cool, or you think people would think is cool, or you want to tell people about it, sign up and register as a maker for the Maker Faire, and we'll give you a spot to present and showcase it.
So if they want to reach out as we wrap this segment up, how can they do that, Dave? What is the best way to go about reaching out to you?
So on our website, houston.makerfaire.com, they can go and click on the Call the Makers and register to become a maker and participate in the event. So we have slots open for them to actually have a booth space, or if they just want to do a presentation and talk about their thing, we actually have a whole education area this year with 8 classrooms dedicated to learning so that people can actually teach others how they made their creations.
That's cool. That's going to be. It sounds like it's going to be even more fun than last time.
Yeah, exactly. We're really focusing in on we're learning 5 years in now. We know kind of what works well, and we're expanding where people say, hey, it would be really cool if we could do this. And it's like, well, we're too late for this year, but next year we'll do it. And so every year we've been adding and building and creating more, content that's related to what people are looking for.
Well, Dave, we appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us about Maker Faire and getting the audience a little bit more information about what Maker Faire is all about. As we approach October, we definitely want to invite you back to the universe so that we can give kind of updates, and if there's anything that you want to focus on or shine on, that we can
if you want to come back and tell us about something else between then and now.
Absolutely.
Open invitation.
Awesome. So
perfect. Awesome.
Well, thank you, Dave, for stopping by. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. We'll give you a proper goodbye once we hit the break here. So, everyone, we are tuned in to Spaceboy Universe. I am Spaceboy. She's Sirlana. And we'll be right back after this.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sirlana.
adjust your dial. This is Anonymous, and we want to talk about the NASA releasing the UFO data coming up. And there's a lot of UFO data that NASA has been holding back on, and they're going to release it soon. So pay attention, people. Wake up. The Matrix has you.
Hey, all right, we're back. Apparently we had a hack in there, and we had to change the channel. And what are you poking at?
I can't be heard.
Well, that's because I had you turned down for a second.
But no one can be turned down.
Well, I turned you down, and so you'll have to get through the emotional distress over it. So you're back. You're back up. There, talk. So anyway, Sir Lana,
kick your butt.
So Anonymous came on and announced that there were going to be, I guess, NASA was going to disclose a lot of alien stuff. And
Yeah.
And so I knew when I saw that video, to be honest with you, that it was kind of fake. I mean, what is your thoughts on that?
What actually did Anonymous claim?
That NASA was planning on releasing, I guess, kind of a disclosure of alien knowledge.
Okay, I'm trying to get that info. I'm laughing at this picture they're showing.
I can
Okay,
imagine.
YouTube video supposedly posted by a hacker collective Anonymous that NASA is gonna announce the discovery of intelligent life. Now, how many times do we go through this a year now?
And like I said, it looked like a fake Anonymous.
Not the legit.
Not not the ones you look and they play and it's like, holy crap, the world's going to end tomorrow. I mean, that's usually in an anonymous video. It has a sense of like, they're going to kick somebody in the nards and it's going to hurt really hard. So I didn't get that sense with this.
So basically they're saying because NASA's looking, they're really actively looking at other parts of space. 10 new planets have been found outside our solar system that are like Goldilocks, I guess, right size, right temperature to support life. Those are just 10 among 219 new planets they have found. And that's recently they've announced that. And this is sounds like somebody trying to stir up something, But here's something I did, and I think I closed it. Yeah, I closed it. But I was going to say, if you get bored, right? So fire up your favorite browser. Go to your favorite search engine.
Firefox. And
just type in NASA denies. And watch what comes up. The first thing that comes up is, have you heard? I've not heard this one. And it must be insane. Anyway, NASA denies that it's running a child slave colony on Mars. Well, I'm glad that's not for real.
I see. It's like the first thing.
The first one.
Yeah.
I'm in DuckDuckGo search engine because it respects your privacy.
I don't know why mine defaulted to Yahoo, which
that's sort of old school.
So sad. I'm sorry, people, for that bit of knowledge.
I see that same thing. I see it 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then I get to NASA denies Trump's request to send astronauts past the moon on a new rocket.
Right. I think I saw that one too.
NASA denies they said there's no asteroid threatening Earth right now. NASA denies it cut live video feed of UFO from space station. Don't get your hopes up. NASA denies finding aliens. Denies rumors of asteroid impact. Denies anonymous video on alien life discovery.
Well, let me go back for a second. I did the Google search, and what's funny is, it has the NASA denies the running of a child slavery colony on Mars, but the third one, it says NASA politely clarifies it is not running a child slave colony on Mars. I like that. To put politely.
Clarifies. That's like, no, let's just clear this up. And I'm not. It should be like, are y'all smoking? What do you think? It should be something like that. NASA denies claims that UFO is orbiting asteroid number whatever.
Mm-hmm.
NASA denies hackers hijacked its drone. They deny that they're on the verge of developing warp drive. So this just, it goes on and on and on. So they must have a very special section of their PR just for smacking down things like whack-a-mole. So I wanted to get into some current things before we got into, the meat and potatoes here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I said we talk about aliens because we were supposed to do a show about alien races. Oh, God, seems like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago.
It was like months. To be honest with you, it feels like months. But,
So the thing is, I still have all those notes.
Mm-hmm.
And
might as well put them to good use,
yeah,
right?
But I've not had any time to read them and go over them. So this will be as new to you so it'll be as new to me as it is to you. So I'll start off unless you want to expound on anything.
Well, I'll put my editorial spin on whatever you've got over there.
Okay.
So go ahead and hit me with your best shot.
Wait, hang on. What happened? Something went nuts. Okay. Oh, I loved whack-a-mole.
Yeah, your sister.
That caught me off guard. So, let's see. I'm going to move that over here and do this. Okay.
Hey, but before you go on, I think it's interesting, because I did the Google search for NASA denies, and it's amazing how much on the first search hit that comes up with this NASA denies running a child slave colony on Mars. It just, it's amazing how many article after article after article that I'm seeing here that's just popping up from NASA denies. So, I don't know. Back to you. I just wanted to bring
Had you ever done that before? I just thought of that earlier. I want to type in NASA denies. And
I think it's always interesting when you do a Google search and you start typing in to see what kind of result you get. I personally haven't, done searches like that to just for entertainment purposes, but it's just I'm blown away by what I'm seeing on my screen here. So
you just did it just now.
Yeah.
All right, so we were going to talk about alien races, and I just was curious as to what is supposedly, allegedly, or what people think is out there as far as different types of non-human entities.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got your basics that everybody knows is what
the rom-coms,
the bone zones. We're talking about a video on YouTube that introduces you to the races of Star Trek from the Star Trek universe, and the guy gets it all wrong on purpose, and it's very, very funny.
Well, I just want to throw this out. There's probably about 5 races off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's probably exactly the ones.
And so let me just throw mine out there, and then you can give us the 411 on your research. There's the Anunnaki, the reptilians, the Andromeda. That's a mouthful again. Andromedans, the Nordics, the Greys, freaky little. Mm-hmm. Alien things, and so I guess that's 5. The Greys, yeah. So all 5 of those.
Well, I'm gonna start out. I have noted here. One of the confusing things about this topic is different people who have had encounters and testimonies, and UFO researchers all seem like they're saying something different. I can't find a unifying consensus on. Yes, these are the ones for sure. And if you believe people like Dr. Stephen Greer, where he says they're all good, and if they wanted to blow us away or conquer us, they could have done that, but what they're actually doing is waiting for us to grow up, humanity, waiting for us to grow up, kind of like keeps reminding me of the Vulcans.
They are secretly enslaving us on our planet.
through mind control. Now, on the other side, you get people like Daryl Sims, who seems to have had like the worst experiences you could have with these beings, and he impression I get is he wants to hunt them all down and kick whatever is the equivalent of alien butt. If they have butts, I don't know. So, what fascinates me about this topic are alien men in black, MIBs. So that's the first place I started, right? And I read some people who have had encounters or witnessed some strange things where one said they saw some what they thought were men dressed in some form of black clothing,
right?
Like a suit, traditional black men's suit. And in fact, sightings of these men in black have gone all the way back to biblical times, where people will talk about men attired in black robes and black turbans trying to lure victims out into the desert, which I had not heard of before, so I might go check that out at some point. Now, in the Middle Ages, there was this sphere of black-clothed beings that was said to wander around and did acts of vampirism. Black-clad fairies who do mischief. And what's interesting is that the alien MIBs are described as Asian-looking, and I'm wondering if that's more around the eyes, But they even have black-clad figures in Native American culture. There were these black figures lurk the forest. So,
well, an interesting note on the subject of men in black is that more recent reports have been not necessarily men in black, but women in black.
Yes, fascinating.
And, some of the same characteristics that the men in black have been accused of. But these women in black, I was reading an article the other day about the women in black, how the skin, it's kind of like it's not like their real skin, like it's a suit.
A skin suit?
A skin suit of some kind?
Yeah, that's kind of like some of the things I've read for the alien.
And like the lips look like really dark lipstick and
yes, very strange, like they've done a really bad version of, I don't know, cross-dressing or something. But well, I like the ones that show up. These stories were these ones that show up very, very soon after you witness something or some kind of odd phenomena. And you get these visits by these black-suited, quote-unquote, men they'll show you some very convincing-looking official badges, and they'll give you names, and they'll claim to be from one government agency or another. But what's spooky about them is they know every detail about your encounter, even personal, private things you may not have told anyone. Maybe you told someone else about your encounter, but maybe there are certain things you left out on purpose. Or maybe you never said a word about what you saw or what you witnessed or what happened, but they know it.
Like they're picking up on your mind, like telepathically, listening to your mind and or probing your mind.
Or they were there somewhere where you couldn't see, observing just to see what would happen. And they'll take any evidence you have. If you do have some kind of something left behind from your encounter or your, they'll take it from you. And one guy says they don't necessarily threaten you outright, but you just get this really bad feeling, and I got a
bad feeling about this.
They make it clear it just won't be a good idea for you to go around talking about it.
Right.
So,
well, I'm sure the whole experience between the men in black and I'm kind of jumping from that to the children with the black eyes that show up on people's doorsteps.
I don't know if the two things are of the similar nature or...
I think it's freaky. Well, the story of the
if they have the same purpose.
The children, well, they want to come in. And the one thing, and I know this is kind of funny, is I kind of go back to the stories of vampires.
There's something about permission.
They need permission to come into your house, and I'm like, and I draw from the vampire stories that one,
He has to have permission.
I am not inviting you into my house whatsoever because, so and when I heard that these kids want to come into your house, I immediately started thinking of vampires.
So they want to come in, they're not come out and play with us, you know. But there's something about the concept of having to be invited in that I think maybe it goes back to Christianity, where if you want to be saved, you have to invite Christ into your life, into your soul. So I don't know if that's just something that if people are making up the story and they just bothered that concept.
Right.
Who knows? But that's a strange... I don't think these men in black care about permission. I really don't think they do.
No, I think that's a whole different ballgame altogether. I just brought up the children because they usually come up to your door and knock on the door, and
those stories are freaky.
Those stories are definitely freaky.
But they describe the alien MIBs like, I don't know that, the Men in Black movie, with Will Smith, Happy Fun Times. I don't know if that is something that's supposed to exist with our government, but the stuff I read is like, these are not human beings in these black suits. There have been described as pale skin or olive skin, thin lips, slanted eyes. Some will be wearing bad wigs. And like you pointed out, garish makeup that they don't seem to get it quite right. Missing all facial hair, like eyebrows and eyelashes. They fail at trying to look normal. Sometimes no neck, just their heads sort of just go right into the torso, shoulder area. Weird accents, kind of speak mechanically. Of course, black suits like men's sports coat, but they're sort of like usually out of date looking, and the fabric is strange. Now, I think of the ones I saw when you used to watch Fringe on Fox. You know,
kind of like Watchers.
They were, I don't know if those were supposed to be the alien Men in Black, but they were
actually
kind of albino looking.
They were humans from the future.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that my first recollection of reading about these stories of Men in Black was the late 70s, early 80s. And the way they describe them, they always came in three. They drove a black sedan, and they were bald. And when you looked at them, something just didn't seem right when you looked at them. And so those were the hardcore things at that time that described these Men in Black. So, freaky stuff. And I think there was, there's some pictures out there where people caught, because there's not been a situation where they've caught these Men in Black on film until fairly recently. I think it was a security camera caught them walking in or whatever into a building.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that one. That's kind of a famous one because it's kind of like a somewhat fancy looking foyer lobby.
Yeah, because nobody had seen any of these people before, or it finally was documented. So, and the fact that it wasn't on one of those famous YouTube channels that we shall not speak of.
Yeah, let's not get into that. Now, the story I listened to, and I want to say, can't remember if I read this or I was listening to it on YouTube, is this one encounter from a mail carrier. This guy said he was a mail carrier, and he was delivering mail to some building where he witnessed two, as he can only describe, beings entering the building. And he described it as if you took the black suit and, the pants and everything, and you were able to, hang it all together to look like a suit and put it on a hanger, like maybe you pin the pants down to the bottom. It looked like a suit walking, just a suit. Because these beings were paper thin.
Is it like that episode of Fake or whatever where they were walking through that front yard, or like in that forest where it had
those weird stilt-looking, bat-looking, white things? They were paper thin, and they were in 2 or 3. And he said that he went in and delivered the mail, and when he came out, these people came out behind him and said, who are you? What are you doing? What did you see? You know, it kind of harassed him. And so shortly after that, he quit going on that particular route. Mm-hmm. So, but like you said, they travel in packs of 2 or 3, and they tend to drive these older, big American cars, I guess, like Cadillacs and Lincolns and 30-year-old model cars, but even sometimes older, but they're in mint condition. I think that is, maybe they, at the time when that car was manufactured, maybe they stole it in that time period and took it to wherever their place is, and they just kept it in mint condition, and they just bring it back, you know. Or maybe they just like big, old American cars. You know, they have strange insignia on the car. Some say there's some kind of odd vapor in the car that they're in, and it's illuminated inside.
It's 420, man. It's 420.
They also seem incompetent at times, and sometimes they'll just display bizarre behavior, and they'll even ask rude and inappropriate questions like, we as humans kind of know the social mores, like, you don't ask that to somebody you don't know. They don't have any such problems or filters, so that's what kind of fascinates me. I couldn't find any examples of that, but
sure.
I don't know if people are familiar with Dr. Herbert Hopkins. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Maybe it's in here. The Men in Black Fact Speech Encounter. Yeah. There's sort of, the Men in Black has become an archetype, you know. Mm-hmm. People seem to know exactly what you're talking about. And, yeah. That's all I was going to say about that before I got into the actual topic.
Well, I guess we're at the bottom of the hour, so I guess we can roll the music. And let's see here. You are listening to Space Boy on the Space Boy Universe Network, along with Sirlana, and we are the dynamic duo that makes up the team. So don't touch that dial. Short and sweet. I love that song.
What was it?
Solaris.
Oh, okay. I didn't get to hear it in my headphones.
Sorry, but I tune it down because...
Yeah, I understand, because we got to talk.
You get grouchy at me sometimes.
Well, sometimes we have to
I
talk.
can't hear you because the music's too loud. So, anyway, what? Why are you giving me the eyeball?
Well, it's just that sometimes you have it playing while I'm trying to Skype with a guest. That's the only thing, Anyway, nobody wants to hear that. Anyway, when we get into it...
Daddy and Mommy are not getting a divorce.
No, there's just going to be some slap fights.
So what do we... I posted about a thing about the Men in Black thing.
Yeah.
And, Herbert Hopkins.
Oh, and thank you, Michelle. Got a compliment saying the show is good tonight. And you hang in there. Stay strong. She knows why.
And by the way, your profile picture looks awesome looking. Looks great. So I just thought I'd throw that one at you too. So you're looking girl. Good.
You're looking girl.
Yeah, you're looking good, girl.
You look like a girl.
So anyway,
right.
Continue, Solana.
So this is, I approach this the same way I do all research, and I just sort of went with what I found interesting. This is not supposed to be a comprehensive study of all possibilities of alien races that are out there. What noise are you making?
I am sorry. Don't pay any attention to me.
Well, here, I can do the same thing. There.
I hope you didn't pour all those nuts all over the place.
Don't worry. The nuts are safe. So here's what I found out. There is supposedly something called the Galactic Federation of Light. Ever heard of it?
No.
Me neither. But apparently, it was founded over 4.5 million years ago to prevent interdimensional dark forces from dominating and exploiting this galaxy. I'm assuming that's the Milky Way that we're in. So, currently, there's over 200,000 member star nations, confederations, or unions. How does anybody know this? I don't know. I don't know how anybody found out this information. I don't know if this is through abductions or, government back channels. I don't know. So, just about 40% of these members are humanoids, and the rest are varied forms of life or sentient beings. And most of the members are fully conscious beings. Now, I don't know what it means to be a non-conscious or unconscious being.
Okay.
Is that what they're trying to say?
You mean a being that's not enlightened? Or
Well, it's this fully conscious being. Yeah,
enlightenment?
Yeah, maybe so. So, you may have heard of these people, or not people, but beings. The Arcturians.
Arcturians. Is that the name of where they're from? Oh, hold on just a second.
What's going on over there?
Sorry.
I like that mood music for like Arcturians. Woo!
They're that mysterious. So I
Yeah,
had to,
well, hey, it fits. They're from the star Arcturus.
Okay.
Arcturus, yeah.
Yeah.
In the Boots constellation, that's about 36 light years away from us.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, now the site I looked at says that this is a horse-like sentient being. So I did a Google image search on it, and I didn't see them. And I didn't see any image that looked like a sentient horse being. Now, another site says, oh, well, they're a mammaloid and look close to that of a horse. Their body is tall and slender. Their heads are more of a stylized version of a horse, of a horse's head. Now, on the site, one of these other sites, because I was trying to get some kind of info that collaborated, but I kept getting slightly different stories on what they look like.
Right.
One site said their skin color can be vanilla colored to dark brown. Another says they have a mane like a horse on the back of their neck and their head with a thin tail. Another said, oh, they got hands with 4 fingers which are long and thin. Arms and legs are muscular. Their eyes are much bigger than ours, but they're pale blue or dark brown. Their ears are smaller than horses' ears and are more rounded. Males 7 to 8 feet, females 7 to 8.2 feet tall. And supposedly they're supposed to be short. Now, this is another site that says, no, they're short in physical stature, about 3 or 4 feet tall and slender. They look very much alike, which are about, which they are happy about. They like looking alike each other because it erases the pettiness of comparing looks, which is so predominant in Earth society. Again, they're all looking down on us and our petty, So one says they're tall, one site says they're small. What's the real story?
Where's the site that says they're just right?
I know. A different site says, no, their skin is greenish. They have almond-shaped eyes, only 3 fingers, are capable of telekinesis. Then they can communicate telepathically. So telekinesis is being able to move things with your mind, and telepathy is being able to talk to others using only your mind, just to clarify. So there was no mention on other sites of them being horse-like in their features. So another site says, no, their eyes are dark brown or they're black. No mention of blue eyes. But there's a consensus they kind of see using telepathy and can sense with the back of their head, which would be a cool feature to have. Kind of like when you're backing up in your car, They live off an effervescent liquid that is a source of nourishment. Now, what does that remind you of?
The loosh.
That, and also kind of reminds me of, oh man, I can't believe I forgot their name. Anyway, I'll skip it. They can live 350 to 400 years. And because they're so highly developed, they don't age. They transcend time and space. They just sound like a bunch of snots to me, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I never met one. Within their culture, or their society, rather, when they're in their society, there's no sickness because they eliminated diseases and illnesses centuries ago. They simply just terminate life when their contract has been arranged for them. Now, I couldn't find any elaboration on that. So it's like, oh, you're going to live 212 years, and when your time's up, you're done.
Weren't we having a conversation about this, about like Logan's Run? Or is that something a different one?
Was
where they
that was last week.
Your time is up, and then they off you
at age of 30.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
so I don't know how they determined that, or I couldn't find any details on that particular arrangement.
Well, so far, I hate to admit this, but it sounds kind of like a cult.
Well, they have a mastery of time. Now, I'm not sure what they mean by mastery of time. They're also known for their exceptional skills in science and philosophy. Well, that makes sense. They sound like a planet of professors. They only need 1 to 3 hours of sleep a day. Cool. They speak a language that sounds similar to Chinese and Vietnamese. Oh, thoughts? Okay. They're considered to be one of the, if not the most advanced civilization out there. I need to take a swig. I'm sorry. Pardon me.
Well, Sirlana, based on what I'm hearing is, yes, they sound like a bunch of snots.
They're in the fifth dimension, by the way.
That I don't know.
And they have an energy gateway, which is a way station for their non-physical consciousness to get accustomed to physicality. Maybe that's how they cross into our dimension is they're living in some kind of ethereal plane, and then they can cross this gateway to have some kind of physical form. They now in their culture, they teach that the most fundamental thing for a living being in the fifth dimension is love. So now they sound like a bunch of hippies.
I was getting ready to say, for a second there, I was thinking John Lennon with Imagine. Mm-hmm. And then now you brought the hippie thing up. They've
conquered negativity, fear, guilt, and they've exchanged it for love and light. Now, there ain't nothing wrong with that. If that might be the main reason we're looked upon as a bunch of knuckle-dragging apes, Actually, they're the most non-judgmental of all the races, so...
Okay.
So it's not bad enough. They sound like, a little snotty and professory, but they're actually decent people that you'd probably want to know. So it's like, oh, they took all the fun of it. But and there's no duality. There's only oneness. There are no extremes. They have a screen-like process for taking care of and reproducing offspring. Now, I don't know if that means that you only get to have offspring if you go past a screening. That's kind of what I'm picking up on. Only those with a high vibrational frequency that has like a violet tinge to it, that's the predominant color in their aura, can take care of children or give birth. Reproduction is an honor and a high regarded process. I respect that. I respect that a lot. They do a mind link between male and female energies, and it creates a replica of the two beings. Now, what does that remind you of?
You mean like Vulcans?
No, yes, but also specifically something very specific. They do a mind link between male and female energies, and it creates a replica of the two beings. Where do we see that? Sort of. You're in the right universe.
Mind link.
They did it on Star Trek Voyager, the Q and the female Q.
Oh, okay.
And they created a baby Q.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, Star Trek has already explored everything we ever talk about. But
well, see, sometimes I believe that maybe some of these aliens are not really aliens. They're just based off of spin episodes of Star Trek.
It could be, but see, I don't know who's reporting this. Are these people who have had encounters, or these people who have been abducted and told, oh, hey, this is our society and what we're all about. But in this Arcturian society, there's no competition. Every thought, word, and deed gets judged for its ability to bring them closer to the God vibration, and if it does not, then it doesn't exist. A person's frequency of vibration is directly related to the mastery he, she, or it, I'm assuming, has over their body, emotions, thoughts, actions, and creations. Arcturians have total mastery over all aspects of self. That again, that kind of sounds like Vulcans.
Mm-hmm.
Except when it's time to do business and they go through pond far and they lose their minds. This is probably what's holding us back as a species / society. Humans is focusing on all the wrong things that don't bring us things that are good for us. Probably, I think that's safe to say. Like I said, they transcend petty issues like ego and fear-based thinking, feeling. There are machines that constantly check the vibrational frequencies of each individual on the planet that they're on, where it's manifesting. If one Arcturian receives feedback that it says he, but I'm just going to say he, she, or it, just to keep it, universal, is not meeting their own goals for evolution, then they immediately have the elders send teachers to help that individual. So I guess if you have a dirty thought, you get a bunch of elders come in, like, okay, where'd you go wrong here? Now, they travel in starships that are the most advanced in the universe, and they're probably the reason, they're saying Arcturians are the reason we have not been attacked by other malevolent alien races. They got our back, so to speak. Their ships run on a crystal that conducts energy like from the great central sun in the Milky Way. What does that sound like? Dilithium crystals?
Okay.
Again, Star Trek.
See, that's why I'm having a hard time with this.
Because it sounds so familiar.
I'm not saying that the familiarity part is a deal closer, but I don't know, from what I've seen of the sites that are out there, and I don't know, and it's
some of the people chat snobbery at its space, snobbery at its worst.
I think that's where I'm having a hard time with that is that
sorry,
so
well, this crystal they use has not been discovered by Earth scientists, of course, but they don't need computers because they're so advanced. They just they just have to think it all. Earth is a harsh environment for these beings because they're in that fifth dimension frequency because, so we literally harsh their buzz, if you take it to mean that. They have bases on our moon and inside some of our mountains. These beings don't impinge on your freedom like the Greys. They are strictly here to educate humanity, but have had a difficult time dealing with our government and military, who are primarily interested in taking everything they know to make military technology and not spiritual enlightenment. Now, do you got any comments on that? Or
No, I'm over these snobby aliens, and I'm ready to move on to a different alien.
Okay, now get comfortable. Get your favorite security blanket.
Okay.
Turn out all the lights. Put your headphones on. Get under the covers. It's about to get scary.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay, I'm waiting for it.
I'm sorry, we're kind of
the
close to
the Men in Black was kind of freaking me out.
Well, but we didn't get deep into it.
Uh-huh.
Now, this would make the Men in Black look like choir boys, I think. Have you ever heard of the Matra? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. I don't want to say Mater because it sounds like Mater D, but maybe that is the correct way. The spelling is Maitre. I'm just going to say Matra if that's okay. You can go look this up and see. Maybe you can find out how it's said.
Give me that spelling again.
Maitre. That's a very French-looking European way to spell. All right. These are some bad dudes. They come from 2 planets in the solar system in the constellation Megopei, that's Megopei.
Moon pie?
Now, their planets are 3 times the size of Earth. Now, this race, it said, is a race of parasites, and they are ruthless about invading other planets. That's what their reputation is. They have a reputation for attacking lesser developed civilizations, then depleting that civilization's natural resources, destroying environments, and devouring and enslaving conquered races. They're sort of like an insectoid parasite race, 7 feet tall with an exoskeleton, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. I couldn't find a lot of examples of how they look because, people will stick an alien, image on anything, and you don't know what's what.
Most of them slap the typical gray alien on,
anything scary looking. But so, kind of insectoid looking. That right there is disturbing to a human because we have this kind of innate fear of, insects are bad, get away. Now, yet a different site I looked at said that the Matra are small and less than 1 meter tall. So how could that be intimidating? Mm-hmm. It said that this race has both male and female genitalia, so they're hermaphrodites, and their young are born about 8 inches in length and put in a special incubator. Kind of sounds like these dudes know how to party, though. Now, when they're ready, I guess after, they grow up or get incubated, they're sent to training at the age of kind of like what would be 5 months to us. Mm-hmm. And it lasts for 4 years. Now, how does anybody know this? I don't know. So now another site I looked at said this race is here was here on Earth in our prehistoric times, and they would kidnap people openly back then because who was going to tell on them?
Right.
This was done. Now, when they did that at that time, it was done sort of like, think of it as them doing a feasibility study to see if we are worth conquering and colonizing. But the race of the 9 governors stopped them. So I had to stop everything I was doing and go try to look up the race of 9 governors.
So the Council of Rick?
Yeah, and I couldn't find anything, nothing. But if you know of some place where I can find out more about the race of 9 governors, please send it to Solana at spaceboyuniverse.com. I would appreciate it. Okay, The Matra study math, navigation, mechanics, and biology, and only learn practical subjects. So they don't bother with poetry or music or art. It's all pretty regimental, kind of sounds pretty military, scientific. They live for about 120 of our Earth years, and they travel in ships built by slave labor from, I guess, the other civilizations they conquer. Now, these ships that they have hold 40 of the master race, their slaves, and several thousand staff. Big ship. Now, they haven't succeeded here because we're being protected by the 9 governors and other alien races. But now, as far as I guess anyone can figure out, these Matra have colonized 26 other planets. They say they were last seen here on Earth in 2006, where they abducted some people in Africa. Their home planet has a similar chemical makeup to Earth. 2/3 is ocean, but it looks more like our Jurassic period, and their average temperature is 32 degrees plus Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. You can look that up. Mostly they have like a rainforest condition. They live in large one-story homes. They have 2 million of their own race, 40 million slaves from different systems. Their animal life is, again, like our Jurassic period, kind of dinosaur-y mammalians. They're not as well developed looking. Their food sources are other races of aliens, and sometimes their own slaves, though they don't do that too often. And they have some kind of device implanted in the captured slaves that reacts to enzymes in the blood. So if you get out of line, they can activate this device and it just kills you. They have powerful allies, which is kind of surprising to me. And really the most surprising thing is they have a Facebook. And they may be responsible for the Black Plague here on Earth. So, fun dudes.
Okay. I was trying to find some information for you on the 9 governors alien race, and I guess we're just going to have to wait and see if somebody reaches out to you via your email.
Yeah, I just thought, I never heard of them. I said, you always hear of the 4 or the 6, the Greys, the Nordics, the blah, blah, blah. But, I found these other guys, and I'm like, okay, now this would make for some good stories, So, the next people I've got are the Orions or the Lyrans.
Okay. Now, I think I've heard of them.
And, the reason I picked these is, again, I think most of the Star Trek races were based on these guys.
Okay.
Now, the Orion part of space, the constellation, has more than one
alien type.
Yeah, I mean, there's more than one place to be from.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my sister in chat. She said this is kind of out of her depth. I said I don't know anything about this either, and this is my first time learning about any of this. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it'll make for some good unconscious dream fodder later, I'm sure. Or we could stop right now and I could read you my dream journal from 2003 and 2004. Who wants that? Okay. Now, talking about the Pleiades section of space, too.
Pleiades?
Some consider the Pleiades to be the birthplace of the humanoid race. Because this section of space contains subspecies such as the Sirians, Orions, Earth, which is Terrans, us, the Pleiadians, yeah. Vegans, not those vegans, but from Vega, Zeta Reticulans, Centaurian, Altarian, and on and on and on. Now, when it comes to what man, Homo sapien, physically looks like, the Lyrans are the main influence for that, especially the Caucasian race. So, Now, the first person to talk about Lyrans and be a contactee was, of course, Billy Meyer from 75 to 86. And he was the first one to describe them and try to put forth some material evidence. Now, he learned about the Lyran star system and their inhabitants. The early Lyrans could travel to other star systems and start colonies and had their own space traveling program. Supposedly, human life began in the Lyran system 40 million years ago and evolved from there. Now, this other site I went to, and this is where one site says this, one site said that, I can't get what's supposed to be, supposedly the real deal. Another site said Lyrans have Nordic features and used to be abundantly, populated throughout the galaxy, and they're peaceful. They're sort of like the galactic historians of humanity. Like, they're putting down our story.
Mm-hmm.
Meyer described, I'm going to call them vegans instead of vegans. I'm going to describe the vegans as blue or red skin and can be, they may be what influenced the Vedic text where Hindu gets Vishnu and Krishna. So if you know what that imagery looks like, that might be some of the vegan influence. Vega was a first star system to be populated by humans who came to Earth 22 million years ago, what I read. Now, apparently the Vegans and Lyrans interbred with humans, and which kind of supposedly parallels what happened in the events of the Book of Enoch, where the Nephilim intermarried with humans and produced a race of giants that died off. So what confused me, I was confused about this, but then I realized they're just saying they did a similar thing that was supposed to have happened here, where you've got all these Nephilim interbreeding, and so God sent the great flood to purge all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Meyer describes Vegans and Lyrans, they committed some transgressions against native Earths and Terrans and other worlds. But I didn't say what. At one time, both of these species left their homeworlds and formed a hierarchy of leaders and sub-leaders and reigned over followers. So now they're kind of sounding like, space douchebags. So they brought this organization of hierarchy and leadership to Earth when they intermingled with us. So they're responsible for misdeeds, false teachings, religions, but they also brought the concept of crafts, professions, philosophies, critical thinking, medicine, technology, and other stuff. So some good and some bad. Now, I kept seeing this reference to a galactic war that involved Lyra, or it started there and it spread to other parts of the Orion constellation. There was a war between something called the false king of tyranny and the service to others ideology.
Yeah.
So what I was reading from the site, to put it in more basic terms to us, it would be like Antichrist versus Christ type of thing. They had their own crisis like that. So you've heard of Betelgeuse and Rigel, right?
Mm-hmm. Don't say that word 2 more times.
They are supergiants. Now, Orions are from around here. They're 89% vegan, and vegans are from Vega. They're a star. I don't know about their dietary constellations, or if they even eat, or if they're actually vegan vegans. The rest of them are 11% Lyran, because they did the interbreeding. The vegans are more human than Lyrans. Now, Lyrans are light brown skinned, and 10% of their population is Caucasian with light hair. They have water-based bodies with an oily, fatty content that acts as lubricant. So they have a reputation for being aggressive, and they have destructive wars, and they keep developing consciousness and technology. So they keep going on with their consciousness and technology beyond us, but yet they're still warlike, which makes me think of the Klingons. Mm-hmm. So, well, that's as far as I can get right now.
Let's pause it right there, Solano, because we're at the top of the hour. So you're listening to Spaceboy Universe. Don't go anywhere.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sir Lana.
So behind the scenes, Solana and I are talking about how hungry we are, and at this time we usually plan for what we're going to have for dinner for the next week. So
because we go grocery shopping.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
so potatoes are going to be in our future.
There's
so.
a definitely potato-based theme going on for the meals next week, but nobody tuned in to hear about that. So,
I don't know. Well, somebody might be just
well, if
savoring
you
a bit.
have a great recipe, you can also send that along, Solana at spaceboyuniverse.com.
Yes, please send a good recipe to Solana
We greatly appreciate
so
it.
we can get beyond Taco Tuesday.
Ain't nothing wrong with Taco Tuesday. Anyway, so we're talking about Orions and Lyrans and Vegans.
And not to be confused with the
Oh,
bodacious green.
Not those Orions, Bob, from Star Trek.
Oh, wait, I just looked up at the big
Yeah.
board here.
See, look up at the Twitter wall.
Oh, my. In my best George Takei voice.
Well, I typed in Spreaker chat, but I said, no, Bob, not those aliens. I said those the green-skinned, bodacious bikini babe aliens. And Dennis wrote, green-skinned, bodacious bikini babe aliens coming to theater near you. So
it sounds like a great B movie.
I know you'd watch it. So
well, you know.
we're still in the Orion section now. Apparently, the Orion, there's an empire there. The Orion Empire is supposedly ruled by one leader.
Oh?
Within this empire, you have the Empire, the Black League, which is the Resistance, and victims of both of these groups. So some of these guys will split off, and they went to this place called Maldek, Maldek, and they settled there, and it's a planet supposedly inhabited by fallen angels. They were destroyed, and the destruction of the planet became the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. So that's interesting. I'd never heard that before. Interesting tale to tell the kids going to bed. Now, this race has a reliance. They enforce the concept of relying on authority figures, something we have a lot here on Earth, and it's proposed that the Orions are the reason we have this authoritarian nature in us. Now, on the upside, however, sorry, there's Muffin.
How's Muffin's the upside?
On the upside, we have Muffin. You know, that's always a comfort. I see you, weirdo. Orions are the reason we have things such as smoothly running systems on Earth. They have they beam yellow ray frequency to Earth for stabilization of intuitive powers within human consciousness. If you're confused at this point, it's because I'm confused. I don't know what this means. So they're beaming a ray to us to help out with human consciousness. I don't know if this is just for certain people who have intuition or clairvoyance. I don't know if that's what that means. But I read that we have them to thank for the structure of our government, business, and industry, none of which we'd really need if we would just go on and evolve and advance like the Lyrans. So, you know, catch-22. Now, non-human-like vegans are the gray and reptilians. Now, here's the bad guys you know about. Grays being servants for the tall reptilians or Draco. Both are known as Rigilians, and they're very, very dangerous. But again, here's where different sites and different accounts start muddying the waters for me. Okay, one said Lyrans, you know, are they're this red-headed race of beings. They're average-sized or giant, strawberry hair to red hair, skin tone very, very fair. So fair, they even have problems exposing their skin to certain frequencies of natural light. I'm very close to that. Some of these Lyrans are seen as invaders or marauders, and we're talking about, you know, these are the Greys, reptilians. Some says their numbers have dwindled, and the red-headed Lyrans may be some of what the North mythology is based upon. Red-headed purebred of the Pleiadians can be aggressive or violent and very passionate. There are also darker skinned ones that are more rare and influenced by the India-Pakistan regions, or maybe they influenced the Indian-Pakistan regions on Earth. Some Lyrans are pacifists, and they're peaceful. Actually, it's difficult to get an emotional reaction out of them. Again, I'm thinking Vulcan. There are some bird-like Lyrans that are much more alien-looking, to us. Thin, frail, and bird-like. Their faces are angular and sharp, but they're still considered mammals. Yet they have bird-like eyes, and their hair kind of looks like feathers, but it's not feathers. Their hair is like a different quality. I don't know what it's made of. They're scientists and intellectuals, and they do not get involved in galactic politics. They do travel around and visit, and they may have influenced parts of Egypt and Sumer. So they're like the tourist race, I know some of you have heard of the cat-like Lyrans. They're supposed to have interacted with Earth in the distant past, and these are humanoid kind of in body, but they have cat-like features for the head, but they're not cat people. They just have sort of cat-like looking qualities. And other qualities, they're agile, strong. Their nose kind of resembles a cat's nose, and they have a small mouth. Their eyes are the dominant feature, like cats. If you forgot what a cat sounds like, there's one right there. Yeah, see, thank you. That's very helpful. Little demonstration there. Their eyes are the dominant feature, large with a second eyelid, just like Earth cats. These were traits they developed due to the environment they lived in. They don't have fur, but they have a protective layer of peach fuzz, which protects them from harsh ultraviolet radiation on their planet. So thank you, Muffin. That was just get in the box. Now we'll talk about somebody we all know is the Greys. You really can't talk about races without talking about the Greys. Well known, or rather, it's one we can all kind of identify by sight if you see one, drawn or depicted. And again, there's some discrepancy here within the UFO field. I've heard researchers talk about them and say different things. I've read different things. Some say that these Greys are a lower caste of the reptilian/Draco race. They're like the worker bees. And if you call, Daryl Sims says these Greys are they're very easy to fool. You can put one over on them. Mm-hmm. Now, another website I looked at said this: they're logical based and operate on animal survival and predatory instincts and are emotionally insensitive to humans. So they don't really connect with our emotions or care how we're feeling So they're kind of like intelligent animals to me. If the site I looked at said Greys feed off human and animal vital fluids by rubbing a liquid protein into their skin, and they shed the waste off through their skin like this. So I don't know what vital fluids mean. Does that mean like blood and spinal fluid and
whatever fluids that need to be gotten rid of? I believe that's what that's meant to say in that thing.
So they come in a variety of colors, apparently. Gray white, gray brown, gray green, gray blue. 3.5 feet to 4.5 feet tall. They also may or may not feed off the life energy or soul energy of humans. I don't know what that means because I don't know how they would. I mean, are they talking more like a vibration to get off? I don't know how that would be accomplished, but that concept though of feeding off the life force or the energy or soul might have been what was supposedly going on in Dulce, the Dulce base in New Mexico, because down there, the reports were humans were working with these gray guys, and they may have been unwillingly reprogrammed to be under the control of the Greys. Greys are deceitful. They use complex deceptions to accomplish their goals. Our planet is like a big Walmart for them. It's a supply of biological materials, people, and cattle to experiment on. So it's my understanding that the reptiles, the reptile-looking beings, created the Greys, but I've also read that grays can be from Zeta Reticuli and Rigel. This is the Orion Lyran thing again. The ones from Rigel are the deceitful critters that are working with our shadow government or our, the government we know about. And they're sort of a split down the middle. Some are tolerant of us and others just want our planet. Supposedly, there's some grays that have a base near the Aleutian Islands. Now, they don't reproduce, they clone. And, of course, they have superior technology, but they're weak in spirit, and they have no social life, no society within themselves. So, and from what I understand, is some of the same properties of our amphibians and reptilians that we have here on Earth. These guys have they're cold-blooded. Talking about the reptilians, I mean the alien reptilians. They're cold-blooded. They can hibernate for long periods of time. They can live underground if they're here on Earth. And the reptilians and grays are the ones that are linked to the Illuminati conspiracies, to our government. And if this is true, it shows that they don't need guns, bombs, lasers, weapon. All they need to do is just control the minds of some people and, that are in power. So, I mean, do you have any thoughts about that, or
about
any of what I just?
Well, I mean, it's I can still hear you mouth your words. As far as the grays, I mean, it's what can be said. I mean, you mentioned the Dulce incident, and fascinating story about the base out there and the Dulce Wars. A fascinating story of that too as well. And the grays have been, I guess, ever since they mentioned the little green men come back out during the Roswell incident, which Mac Brazel comes back and says, well, they say little green men, well, they're not green. And so, it's in popular culture, and I think in more recent times, you've got Whitley Strieber, who has written the book Communion, that kind of brought it back to the forefront. I think he really gave a face to the aliens, if you start thinking about it, the grays, that is, and what he went through. And he was visited by blue beings as well, which kind of ties in, I wonder, with Reverend John Polk and his experience seeing blue beings. But, his encounter with the blue beings were more on the lines of more humanoid-looking people than actual grays with the almond-shaped eyes, and and that could be just.
Hey, we've got a caller on Skype. Would you like to pick him up?
Okay,
Are you all right with that?
Let's take a chance, I guess.
Is it our favorite Canadian?
Yes.
Hey, Ty, how are you tonight?
Doing quite well, actually. Thank you very much. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're making it through the universe.
Are you celebrating over there? Up there? I mean?
We got thunderstorms coming in, so I'm going to skip the fireworks this year, I think. I just watch it on TV.
Usually that's the best way to do it, You don't have to get in with all that mess and just, if you got the big Jumbotron like we do at home, then that's usually the best way to do it. And plus, I think, light a fire, stay warm, stay cozy.
Is it a national holiday, like, some businesses are closed up there, or?
Yes, that's right. And Monday also is a holiday.
Lucky.
Yeah, we're off Tuesday, like, get up, go to work Monday, then don't come back the next day, then come back the day. It's just, it's almost like, why bother?
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
It's very silly.
So what's on your mind, Ty?
Well, Dennis asked the question in chat, and it didn't get a response, so I thought I'd ask.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry, we don't normally. Please forgive us.
Well, I'm not.
Please forgive us.
I'm not complaining. No one took a bite. So, But you remember the Men in Black movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Saw 'em.
Did you ever remember seeing a gray in the movies?
I believe it wasn't he in a body, or what was it? I don't know. I think I recall seeing a gray, but it was like a mini gray, wasn't it?
I don't
Mini
recall.
gray?
Which one? There's, 3 of them now, right?
I mean, any of them, actually, yeah.
Must have been the first or second one then.
You guys remember seeing?
I want to say I can recall seeing an alien gray it was in a body, and then the door opened up on the face, and it was dying. Was it? Oh
yes, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah,
I think that's the one with Roxanne Dawson. Where
must have been the second one.
Where the I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on this one.
This is your area of expertise.
It is. I mean, I'm piecing it all in my head right now as far as seeing this alien, and then I'm wondering if it was the second movie.
I think it had to be the second one.
I think it was the one where the galaxy was on the belt of Orion.
Exactly, the cat.
That's the first one.
Isn't that the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the first one?
I think so.
Yeah, and there was a gray inside somebody's head that was, and they were very, very small. That's boson, by the way.
I was going to say, you've got the same thing going on with yours, cats. Cats are very talkative tonight, aren't they?
He's very talkative all the time. Yeah, he's quite a chatter, actually. He's the master of the mumble.
I don't know why Muffin comes in here. There's nothing she needs. She's got her food. She's got water. She just likes to come in and announce her presence, and then she goes right back to wherever it was she came from.
Especially at 3 or 4 in the morning, and when we're deep asleep. And
she announces her presence when she comes into a new room. It's like, I'm here. Are you sure you've noticed me? I'm like, yes, we know. I don't know why she does that.
That's what boson does too. Yeah.
She gets on my nightstand and gets right next to my head and screams at me.
Oh, no.
And then she jumps on my gallbladder and
ow.
Yeah, it hurts.
By the way, I got the Space Cadet. Thank you very, very much.
Wow, I finally got to you, huh?
I wonder how long it took.
It didn't take very long. I got it like 2 weeks ago, but haven't had a chance to phone in. So.
Oh, I'm glad that we were able to hook you up, and I'm pleased that you're pleased with it.
I am very ecstatic with it. It's a lot more than I expected, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it like that one?
It's a lot bigger than I expected.
Yeah, the Funko Pop is basically, it's your standard Funko Pop size, kind of, in this box, like we got the Meeseeks. But
he got me a Meeseeks.
They're really kind of cool, but it pays to listen to Spaceboy Universe, because you never know when we're going to do this giveaway stuff. And we were happy to give. Yeah, there's one up at the top up there on our shelves, a Space Cadet. So, but yeah, we won, Ty. We appreciate you and for tuning in and being a part and just blessing us with you listening. And you're a fascinating individual, and we always love it when you call in, because you're one of our many favorite Canadians out there.
Yeah, we know 4 officially now. Or is it 5?
Thank you very much for saying that, Spaceboy. I appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, I mean every word that I say.
It's because we don't know that many.
Oh, it's not that. Don't let her belittle the love that I'm gushing out to you, Ty.
Well, yeah, I really like Duck Dodgers and the 24th.
Oh, wasn't that great? And the Marvin the Martian.
All of that is just great. I like the one when he has to go looking for the shaving molecule.
Yes.
The shaving cream. the shaving cream molecule.
Mm-hmm.
They rebooted that at one point, in last, I don't know how many years, and tried to bring it back. It's sort of like a hip thing for, a nostalgia thing for people who are adults now watching they're little, but I don't know whatever happened with it. I guess it didn't survive. Now, I heard they're going to try to bring back a reboot Animaniacs.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think Spielberg is pushing forward on that, so that'll be kind of cool.
Spielberg always liked it.
Yeah.
He always liked it. It was his production.
They're very funny.
And the guy who does the voice of Yakko did an updated version of Yakko's World where he sings the countries of the world because everything has changed since last time he did it, so that was pretty amazing. He did it from memory.
Wow.
Miss Michelle says the cat claimed her little space cadet figure. Oh. But yeah, we're glad that you got your thing and that y'all are still up there and free from British tyranny. And
and you still bless us by listening to our program.
Every week.
Awesome.
You're on. Yeah. Wouldn't miss it.
Oh, cool. Well, Ty, thanks for calling in tonight. It's great that you know the back door number in case we don't have the main studio line open. So, but yeah, as always, you have a open invitation to call us anytime.
Well, thank you very much.
So does most other people.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, everybody's got an invitation to call.
Love listening to the show and love you guys. You guys have a great 4th of July, Independence Day, and you guys take care as well.
All right, Ty. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
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 Yeah. Learned more about Canada Day today than I have my whole life. And did you post? Oh, yeah, Bob posted that.
I posted the Men in Black with the alien. And in the top there it was the episode with Roxanne Dawson in it. I remember that, and there's the cat that's trying to cozy up to her right there while she's getting some more soda from whatever. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah, Men in Black. There you go. Oh, and by the way, Bob, I have pre-ordered the Funko Pop of Bob Ross.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I just now noticed that, and I am going to be getting one of those. I saw it, and I thought, oh, that is so cool. I've got to get that one, acquired that one. Yeah, if you're wondering, audience, what we're doing is we're reading
the Twitter wall.
Twitter wall. It's a kind of a new thing in our studio that allows us to monitor things from the tweet deck. Mm-hmm. And so when you post things, it'll come up on the wall.
We just call it Twitter wall just for fun.
So really cool method of looking at the Twitter wall. And there's some more retweets. Bob sharing some love of the alien stuff that I've posted up there. So, and then, of course, Solana posted a picture of Muffin in the box over there.
Yeah, she's what you hear her keep coming back in and out. And
so, Rick, back to the alien,
sure.
Gray.
Go ahead.
Definitely lots of stories out there. You have like the Travis Walton story of him being abducted by Greys. You have Whitley Strieber out there who's written many stories and recollections of when he was in upper state New York of being visited by the Greys. Especially, Travis Walton, what I like about his story is that over the years, it's been consistent. It hasn't changed. It hasn't wavered. Yeah. And so it's documented stories like that about the Greys and their encounters that I can go, with Stan. I'm getting ahead of myself here.
Yeah.
With Travis Walton, same story. I know what I'm getting. And I was going to mention real quick, Stan Romanek is one of those other people that his story has been consistent over the years. And, even though
unless he gets intimidated to change it.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that, and once again, we'll discuss that more in a week or two to come. And when we have J3 Films on, John will be with us. So that'll be a great story. So here we are, Sirlon, at the bottom of the hour. I hope that you've still got energy to do the last 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they were supposed to be these particular aliens we're talking about from Zeta Reticuli that were the ones that Betty and Barney Hill got tied up with.
Well, the aliens described in that are similar to the Greys. Slight different in some of the description, but close. But I tell you what, why don't we crash into this last bottom of the hour break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more aliens, talk about what's ahead for Spaceboy Universe, and all that good stuff. So don't go anywhere.
Body Machino.
Чего не видели, вы собираетесь к трапу.
Machino.
So, there was a little brief discussion about what do Scientologists believe, and it's an alien by the name of Xenu. And I just wanted to bring that up. I think I posted something in there, so for further research, if you want to check that out, you can do that. You just said something right before we came back.
Yeah. I'm looking at something here that kind of clarifies some things. I said there are supposedly small grays that are from, as I said, the Zeta Reticuli area, and 3 to 4 foot tall. Now, this site says these are the kinder versions than the Bellatrix grays, from the Bellatrix star. Mm-hmm. Now, these kinder ones originate in the Orion constellation as well. They're much shorter than the other grays. And they're the ones that kind of gave rise to that myth of little people, old folk tales, which I didn't know. They're a little kinder, but for lack of being able to describe it, they're the same roots as the aggressive ones. They all suffer from the same belief that gray aliens live on Earth in underground bunkers, once believed to be dragon caves. In medieval times, they said Christians thought of them as demons, and today they remain hidden. They don't. I don't think they try to put themselves out there. They're also known as, and like I said, the little people. I think they have been mistaken. This says they may have been mistaken as gnomes, leprechauns, and trolls.
Succubus.
Ireland holds a lot of these tales. The Native Americans tell of giants and appeared on Earth, and then the little people went into the inner worlds of Mother Earth. So they're the slightly kinder, gentler, but we've always heard that the Greys are the ones who are doing the human hybrid program, trying to create some kind of perfect.
Well, going on this line, it reminds me of the Project Serpo thing where we supposedly sent.
Yeah, but that was pretty benign.
Well, there is a part in there where one of the, one of the people that we sent died, and
on the way there.
And the aliens wanted to do their own little testing, and
they did some kind of like autopsy and then experiments without asking, not knowing that was sort of like a taboo thing to do.
And of course, you're right over there.
My ear is starting to hurt. Sorry.
So, and then I've heard other stories of them, creating, what would you say, hybrid species where they've combined.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was bringing up because I was reminded of the Project Serpo thing, but then.
But it might be because they're a dying race because they clone. And I don't know how many of them there are, but I imagine if you do a copy of a copy of a copy, it starts to degrade.
It's like the old song goes, if you clone me now, you take away the biggest part of me.
Alrighty, so they don't have reproductive organs, so they're, they can't do it that way, but I guess they can do things in a laboratory environment where they can actually just breed us together with them, because I guess we have more variety.
Well, I mean, in some of the encounters that have been written out there, you have these hybrid children where, some of them have had big heads, some of them had the almond-shaped eyes, with the dark eyes.
Yeah.
So, there is some kind of breeding program that's going on out there that we're just not aware of the big picture. But it could be, like you said, these aliens could be, copies of copies, which reminds me of, we have a tendency to bring in our expertise of sci-fi shows into this discussion, and I'm reminded of Stargate SG-1, where Thor and Loki
I remember
all
that.
them had
That's exactly.
Had reached their end of their copying abilities and couldn't copy no more.
See, there's another example of a science fiction television series borrowing from this mythos. Mm-hmm. Well, I call it a mythos because I don't know what else to call it. I don't know, stories that are out there about these supposed races, I suppose this has already been out there in our culture, and they just did a story around it, But they can't grow beyond a certain size because of their, because they clone. But also they are saying they're trying to create a slave race of aliens. Mm-hmm.
Well, you mentioned the smaller ones as a subclass or subcaste of the others that have more knowledge. It's kind of like a pyramid. You've got the small ones, you got the larger ones, and you have the reptilians, and kind of this hierarchy, if you will, of going out there and doing whatever their agenda is.
Yeah, I'm looking at. As I said, the Rosetta ticuli grays are the most common known, and then you've got the little ones from Bellatrix, and then you've got their human hybrid program, because they are dying off because they can't copy a copy anymore. But, anytime you interbreed different, from different gene pools, that actually is supposed to make things stronger, isn't it? That's why mutts are better than purebreds, what I've always understood. And also, they can be responsible for, a lot of the cattle mutilations. And supposedly involved with the Third Reich. Maybe Hitler met them and had interaction and influences by them. Now, I have mentioned this before where I read or heard, and if you know out there who actually said this or put this idea forth first, because I'd like to quote them, I can't remember right now, that I want to say it was Linda Moulton Howe that was talking about it, but she was talking about someone else's research, but I don't know who to attribute this to, but the idea that the reason Hitler was so obsessed with getting rid of everyone who wasn't tall, blue-eyed, and blonde, which he said was his idea of German perfection, is because he was being influenced by the Nordics, and they were tall, blue-eyed, and blonde, and he wanted everything to reflect how they look, so I guess there could be like a new world order under his control, although he was not super tall, blonde, or I don't think he was blue-eyed. Correct me if I'm wrong. So kind of makes you wonder where he gets off. But supposedly there was top secret information about they recovered a downed UFO in 1936. And my dad would have been like a toddler, 1 year old. That's just so weird to think about, Mm-hmm. It's, I can't verify it, but it says it happened in a small town over there, and it crashed, and it was reported within the hour SS troops showed up at this crash site and recovered the remains of the crew in a disc-shaped aircraft, which I think is interesting because here we are at the, would you say 70th anniversary of Roswell?
Yeah. So
they kind of like had their own Roswell before Roswell was Roswell thing. Mm-hmm. And it happened 3 years before the start of World War II. So that could have been, what influenced Hitler to help the Third Reich to produce, the technologies to get the war started, and because he recovered that downed UFO, the technology and the occupants, and they did what we would do, or allegedly we have done, was the reverse engineering, and he would have a direct line to these extraterrestrials, and they would help the Nazis create super weapons that we could not even hope to, defeat. But again, that's all. It's not verified. It's, we can't really say that. But
there's no definitive 100% proof that
it is a darn interesting story. Let me tell you.
And then you go from that to the Germans building supposedly a base down in Antarctica, and that's another fascinating story. And some believe there's some kind of gray connection into that story as well. I mean, there is just, since the crash of Roswell, there's just been so many stories, one after another, of alien gray contact that, it's just hard to...
Well, I forget that in 1978, Stanton Friedman interviewed Major Jesse Marcel, who was involved recovering the debris in 1947, and I guess Marcel said the military recovered a flying disc, the alien aircraft, and then, of course, the National Enquirer had a field day with that, and I guess they did their own interview with Marcel, and I guess if the National Enquirer does it, that the reputation the National Enquirer has.
Well, let's look at that, for example. Okay, back when we were younger, the National Enquirer was more. It was tabloid. It was not really taking that serious. But now you see a lot of. I think in more modern times, tabloids, and I think TMZ is to blame for a lot of this. Has made stuff more mainstream, where it's not, it's more accepted as more factual than it should be.
Well, there's a lot of garbage now that's being accepted as factual than it should be.
And it's unfortunate because you do see that just, I think in journalism right now as a whole, it's like, the journalists that we should be trusting are not giving us 100% of the facts. And that is 100% fact.
But, okay, so let's say it was an alien craft that crashed there.
Right.
And they did recover bodies. Are these supposed to have been grays?
That was the description that was given. Because when you talk about the funeral director that was reached out to during the crash, that they needed caskets for small children size. So you get this impression that
I'm surprised they bothered to give them a human burial like that.
Well, no, they needed the caskets to transport them
to hide them.
To not necessarily hide them, but to transport them to Wright-Patterson. Via Dallas-Fort Worth area. I believe it was Dallas-Fort Worth.
I'll say in 1989, a former mortician, Glenn Dennis, put forth his detailed personal account where he claimed that the alien autopsies were carried out at the Roswell base. I'd not heard that aspect of it. The Air Force press releases, let's see, the press release was that the 509th Bomb Group had recovered a flying disc from a ranch near Roswell, and that sparked a controversy. The following day, the press said that the commanding general of that Air Force said that it was a radar tracking balloon, and they recovered it, and it was not a flying disc. Of course, we all know the story, but there's ambiguity there and mixed reports. Yeah. So that fuels conspiracy theories. When you don't get what you feel like is the straight answer, or they sort of flip-flop their stories, you're like, okay, well, what are you hiding?
Well, let's just look at the Roswell story as a whole. You have Marcel. He looked like a patsy when he was the infamous picture that was taken of him on his knee, and he's in front of that.
Oh yeah,
the
famous picture.
it just I don't know if
and
it was
the supposed threats.
Well, that's what I was getting
Yeah.
at. I was going to say that I don't know if he was told this is a story you need to tell,
Or else.
And as a good soldier, he said, "Okay, I'll go ahead and do this." Because
Supposedly, didn't they threaten his family? I mean, not his family, but the ranchers.
well, Mac
the property,
yeah, Mac
or-
Brazel
yeah.
was, like I said earlier, and he was talking about, well, they're not green. He was pressured into not telling anybody about what he had seen and out there because he supposedly saw the alien bodies from the craft that crashed. And so because all this stuff was on his property. And then, you have the military going out to his property in a group of people going, like in a line, picking up anything off the ground, small, little, whatever, anything they could find to make sure, almost like a human vacuum to pick up all the debris that was out there so that there was no evidence left behind. So, it's kind of like that episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation, where they enter this area of space and it's these xenophobic aliens that try to destroy them, but then they make this agreement like, hey, why don't you just take away our memories?
Yeah.
But
they didn't do it quite right. Something,
and
you left clues.
And basically, that's exactly what I was going to get at, is that particular episode, there was clues left behind.
Made us curious.
So as humans, we are curious to know the truth. So there are clues left behind from the crash of Roswell, which makes everybody like, well, this doesn't make sense, or this here we have somebody saying this person was threatened. Many people were threatened.
Yes,
young kids were threatened.
See, I
to
thought
death.
the rancher whose property it crashed on was threatened too, and his family,
and
was young children.
He was threatened, but he went along with it. He cooperated. But the point is, there are many clues that are out there in this particular story that, as humans, make us like want to. Well, hey a minute, something's not right here. We're not getting the whole story. Then you have the government many years later coming back talking about Project Mogul, where they dropped these stupid dummies out in the desert. That took place, but it didn't take place during the time period that they're saying happened with the Roswell crash. So it's Boulder Dash
trying to cover their tracks, but inept attempts.
And honestly, it really gets my goat.
Well, speaking of Star Trek and Roswell, apparently Star Trek Deep Space Nine offers up their possibility of what happened at Roswell. You remember that episode?
Okay, now you've switched from semi-serious to funny.
But it was a cute, funny episode where somehow Quark and his brother and his nephew
they're the aliens that crashed at Roswell.
They end up being the aliens that crashed at Roswell. They go back in time somehow accidentally, and they get detained at the base, and Odo is there. I think it's a funny episode and worth your time. And the episode of DS9 is literally called Little Green Men. So you can go check that out on... I know All Trek has got to be on Netflix by now.
Well, Sirlana, we're getting close to the final segment here of we're out of here, and we hope you've enjoyed the show.
we got things to tell you now.
Yes.
We're getting our
first off.
We're getting our act together.
This is the segment I like to call the Patrick Spohr Report. Patrick sends me an email. Yes, Patrick, on 7/3. The Netflix will be out there for that extraordinary show that we've talked about, that we purchased, and we'll be talking more about this particular story in a couple of weeks. So, yes, it will be coming down the pipe. And I forgot the other Canadian that was on the tip of my tongue that I couldn't think of earlier, and thanks to Patrick, Alex Trebek is Canadian.
Yes, Alex Trebek, of course.
Yes, so, and which is funny, he played a Men in Black in The X-Files.
Oh, yeah?
Him and, get ready for this, the former governor of, now I draw...
Not Ventura.
Yes, Ventura.
Oh, he's all into conspiracy.
Yeah, and which is kind of like how these things kind of go full circle. But yeah, he played a Men in Black as well. It was an interesting episode. And on X-Files.
Well, see, I never watched X-Files.
And when I beat my chest all the time, I'm constantly reminded by Celine Dion. So my heart will go on.
Yeah. Well, do we want to do the housekeeping?
Well, I mean, go ahead. What do we got?
Well, listen up. Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention in chat out there? Because you want to hear what's coming up on the universe for your next Saturday nights. All right. July 8th, we will have Tessa Dick, the widow of Philip K. Dick, and she has her own books and publications, and we're going to learn more about her, and we'll be talking to her. So make sure you're here for that. And then, as you just said, on July 15th, you'll be talking to the production, is it J3 Films?
Mm-hmm. John is going to be joining us, and we'll talk about his film organization and definitely dive into the Stan Romanek story, which is being released on Netflix on the 3rd. And if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it, because it'll be some good homework for the universe, and you can be educated on the subject matter.
Now, I have another guest that says they would love to be on the show, but I can't. I'm waiting to get a confirmation on what date. But so stay tuned for that, and I'll get the. I'm trying to get the website updated, but I'm waiting on some cords.
Would it
to get here from my computer?
The subject matter will be related to pyramids. I won't give anything else away. I just
This will be. Let's say this will cover the history aspect of our topics. So
that'll be an interesting guest. And I'm also working on a guest that many of y'all have heard her before, and I giving away that is not giving too much away. And I'm trying to pursue her right now and see if we can get her on the universe. And if we do get her, it'll be awesome.
Can you play that goat again?
Hold on, I'm playing the goat. Excuse me. Stand by for goat action. And 3, 2, 1.
Somebody said it scared their cat. Do it again.
Anyway, that's my get my goat sound effects.
We've already done a show on Tesla, and you know darn good and well, and I'm sure you were there.
I hope he was there.
Yeah, we've talked about Tesla. We've talked about Edison. Unless you want us to talk about Tesla company and Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's like. That's from last year or 2015, wasn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's what's coming down the pipe. And, with each week we pass through a little bit closer to Mini Maker Faire in October. And so that's going to be exciting stuff.
And I don't know if it's official, but Solaris Blue Raven has us down for September 8th to be on her show. I can't recall which show it is, though. It's just 2 of them.
We'll have to follow up with her. Maybe we
he wants an encore Teslas.
Maybe we can see when she might.
We can pick some aspect of Tesla, maybe talk about it.
I was going to say, maybe we can see when she's available and we can get her on our show.
Yeah, we can have her another interview.
It's been a while, and it'll be nice to catch up with her. And because we're big fans of Solaris Blue Raven. It's nice to have good people around.
I think if we have her on, we can only have her on for so long because I think she has an overlapping time slot.
Yeah. So anyway,
good things coming up to look forward to. Again, Project S is still matriculating out there, and if you want to know more about it, you're just going to have to keep listening.
Yes, Project S. You probably kind of get what the S is for, but maybe you don't.
Mm-hmm. But on that note, it is time to retire.
It is time
for
to
the
retire.
Night.
So, as always, thank you for tuning in to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so by going to our Twitter feeds, or if you want to reach out via email, it's always good. We love to strike up a conversation. You can contact Sirlana at spaceboyuniverse.com or Spaceboy, that's me, at spaceboyuniverse.com. And if there's nothing else, let me cue up this and that. I just, real quick, thanks for many of the Space Cadets for showing up in the chat area in Spreaker. It has not gone unnoticed. We love you all, and yes, we love you too, Miss Michelle. We just forget that you're Canadian, but it doesn't matter. We love you all, and you know it. So, on that magical note, say goodnight, Sirlana.
Good night.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Sirlana. Executive producer is Sirlana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K, K28, Mark S, and Bob N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Sirlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.